Good morning, boys and girls. How are we? Hope this angle is pretty flattering on my said arm. We're trying to grow these things. Is there anything more satisfying in the morning if you are somebody that indulges and in likes? If you're somebody that quite enjoys a fried egg, then just putting it on your bagel perfectly, get the knife, cutting the yolk and letting it all spread over the bagel. Is there anything better and more satisfying than that? I don't think there is. Today's video is all about the best bulking foods, the best bulking food sources, all about creating your meals, making your meals through a bulk, how to have the perfect breakfast, the pre-workout meal, the lunch, everything you need to know about setting up your meals is going to be spoke about in today's video. It's not a full day of eating, that's another day's video next week. But I will just get out all the food sources and sit down and explain how to hit it all. So sit back, relax, enjoy the video. We've also got push today, with the hopes of hitting some brand new fucking numbers. I've been on the same weight on the Incline Smith for the past 3 weeks. What is wrong with me? I need to progress that shit. But at 50 kilo aside, I would love to get it for a nice set of 8, 9, 10 today. So we'll see what happens. We have arrived at the Z Gym. These are so good, man. These are so fucking good. I'd never drank the Rosa one before up until like 6-7 weeks ago, man. And I don't think there's any can flavour of Monster better, man. Absolutely fucking amazing, mate. So good. But yeah, man, we've got push today, so we do. So I'm choked. I need to progress this Incline Smith press. My goal for this bulk is to incline press 3 plates a side. Like, to me, that's pretty good going, and if I get to that, it's obvious that my chest will have grown, right? A stronger muscle is always a bigger muscle. 9 out of 10 times, the only time a stronger muscle is not a bigger muscle is if you're just using a fuck ton of momentum and swing and cheat to get that way up, then otherwise you've not grown muscle for it. You're a pussy, mate. You're not a real lifter. So yeah, man, we done check-ins this morning, had breakfast, which is my pre-workout meal, boxed off a big chunk of check-ins for clients. For anyone that doesn't know, if you're watching this video and if you've not subscribed, subscribe, mate, because you might enjoy the content. You might not, but if you don't subscribe, you don't know. Do you know what I mean? Do you get my drift? I'm also an online coach. That is my full-time job. I coach people, I get people in shape, okay? If you don't believe me, check out the Instagram, okay? I've got all my client results on there and I'm very active on Instagram. That is probably my most active social media. Instagram, over TikTok and YouTube and stuff, that is where I'm active every single fucking day. I'm on the stories every day. I post pretty much most days as well, man. So if you want some more value, then jump over to Instagram.
Although I say nothing can faze me. There's a spark in my life that now I want to show you how I think that. Don't think you can lie.
Okay, my dudes, here we go. Welcome to the best bulking foods slash just how to set up your diet in a bulk with regards to food sources, how much of each food, the macros, everything you need to know. I'm going to sum up my experience and my take and just my 2 pence on it. By the way, this is some of the best, I don't know if that's going to focus, chicken you'll ever get in your life. Currently making the dinner meal. This is meal numero 3. We've got 2 to go. These are the seasonings that man is bashing. Absolutely abusing the life out of the garlic granules. We're then using some Cajun as well. Those 2 are a staple. You can get away with just using them both in general. I'll also put a bit of mixed herbs on the chicken as well as some garlic and herb. Pop that in the air fryer or fry that shit and it is very good. But yeah, touching on what you're here to listen about, okay? All about creating your bulking diet and everything you need to know. I've got a couple of notes here because it's a lengthy wee portion coming up here, a lot to go through. I'm going to try and make it as simple, as digestible as possible, okay? So the first thing is going to be is just setting up a meal from scratch. What do you need to make a meal? Now, see, whenever I've got clients, all right, talking to me about this, or people getting confused at what to eat, how to get a meal, I don't know what foods to eat. It is as simple as this, mate, okay? For each meal, so let's say if you have 4 meals a day, 5 meals a day, 3 meals a day, however you structure it, all you want to do is pick a protein source for each fucking meal. Break that down first, get a pen, get a bit of paper and write down meal 1, 2, 3 and 4, alright, or 5, however many you have. For each of those meals, I want you to write down a protein source. Don't just write any, pick one that you are generally going to be able to have, one that you enjoy and one that will digest well, okay? Anything like chicken breast, chicken thighs, beef mince, 5% beef mince, turkey mince, heck, chicken sausages, whatever it is. I'm a big fan of keeping it a little more wholesome, so I try and avoid like all these processed protein things. It's a topic for another video. So pick your protein source. Simple as that, man, right? So if meal number 1 is breakfast, you might want to have egg and bacon, I don't know. So pick your protein source for each meal. Then after that, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to pick your carbohydrate source, alright? Simple as that. So pick your carb source. Now again, I like to keep these a lot more wholesome, a lot more single ingredient, because one, it's going to give you more carbohydrate dense options, potatoes, rice, pasta, these type of things. I would use them as your base. Bagels as well, use them as like your base of food, okay? So you should now write out your protein sources. That'll be the potatoes ready. Write out your protein sources, then your carbohydrate sources, and then what you're going to do is obviously your carbs and your protein, they're going to probably have fat in them, so that's going to add in a little bit of fat. But then what I'll do is look at can I include some sort of dietary fat in. Now dietary fat just meaning like an actual real fat source. Olive oil, avocado, butter, fucking nuts, dark chocolate, almonds, whatever it is. Look at where you want to place some sort of dietary fat. I'm a big fan of having at least 1 or 2 dietary fat sources in across the day, because you'll probably notice that, you know, if you're pounding down 500 grams plus of carbs per day, you're going to accumulate like 30-40 grams of fat anyway. But that is going to be your base. And then to finish it off, on each meal, try and include some sort of green shit, right? Some sort of vegetable, salad or fruit, okay? Now, if you're having like maybe some chicken wraps for lunch, buy a bag of salad, put the salad in the wraps, boom. If you're having potatoes and chicken, some broccoli, boom. So that is as simple as base, okay? We're gonna expand on that and take it a little bit further, but that is gonna be the base. Protein source, carb source, dietary fat if you need it. If you don't need it, it's all good, but at least 1 or 2 scattered in there across all your meals, and then picking some sort of vegetable or some sort of fruit. So if you're having a bowl of oats with protein powder, add in some raspberries or blueberries. Does that make sense? So that's part numero uno. Part numero uno. We're going to go into part 2 after I sort my dinner out, because I'm fucking starving. To give you a quick rundown, I'm going to quickly just show you this meal while it's cooking up, alright? So I've got my protein source here, which is chicken, and I've cooked that in a little bit of olive oil. That's going to be my protein and my dietary fat cooked off. I've then got the main carb source here, which is like just 550 grams of potatoes, okay? We've got a wrap, we've got the salad, we've got a little bit of condiments, some sriracha mayo, some really low calorie Philadelphia cheese. I don't want that to waste all my calories, so this gives a bit more flavour. And I've got some of this. This is some homemade curry sauce. You literally just put water and powder in it and it makes a curry sauce. I'll show you this when it's all done, and then we're going to go into part number 2 of the video, so please keep watching to find out more about everything you need to know about bulking. I'm not gonna lie, it is the next day. This was gonna get filmed on that day, but I just didn't. So we're here now. Part numero uno, previous clip, we were basically just talking about how to set up the actual meal with regards to just picking, plants fell over when you picked it up. We basically essentially walked through picking a protein source, a carb source, some sort of salad, veg, and dietary fat if it's needed. As we mentioned, you know, when you have high amounts of carbohydrates in your diet, when you're having like, you know, maybe beef mince and a higher cut fat of protein, you're going to accumulate a certain level of fats throughout the day, so you might not need too much dietary fat like egg, dark chocolate, almonds, nuts, avocado. I've actually never had an avocado in my life. I've had guacamole and shit, but not an actual proper guacamole. Tip of the tongue. And we're back. So what I'm going to touch on now, okay, is the carbohydrates, okay. So obviously in a bulk and a gaining phase, when we are pushing calories up, you're always going to push them via carbohydrates because they're the most easily digestible carb source, and it's your body's main energy source as well, okay. So they're going to digest the quickest, and we're going to utilise carbs more in an off season than we would protein and like fats from an energy point of view, okay. So listen, what we need to be doing, and this is literally key to like sticking to your diet and getting calories in as you get bigger and bigger and bigger and your calories get higher and higher and higher. So I'm a very big fan of, one, when you're picking your carbohydrate source, I like to pick very voluminous carb sources, and this not voluminous in the sense of low calorie, high volume, but in the sense of I know that I can work up that carbohydrate sources amount per gram, if that makes sense. So what I mean, so let's take the potatoes for example. Alright, so let's just say I'm starting off my bulk and I am having, one of my meals is chicken and potatoes with some veg, okay? Let's just say I'm having 300 grams of potatoes. That's a very easy starting point, okay? So let's say now my calories get pushed up and up and up. All I simply need to do is have 350 grams of potatoes, 400 grams of potatoes, 450 grams of potatoes. Do you get where I'm coming from? So when I like to pick my carb sources, when I'm initiating a bulk, I always like to pick a carb source I know that I can eat more of that down the line. So if you're having rice, okay, and the amount of rice you're having, you're like, fuck that, I cannot eat more rice if my food gets pushed up, then swap rice out, okay? But as I said, that's what I like to do. So for me, it's always going to be sort of like potatoes, bagels usually, pasta. I still will have some rice here and there, and cereal. That's kind of my main carb sources, okay? So picking carb sources that are more volume, or that you can work up the serving size with, okay? Now, this is the main part. This is literally the key to your bulk and getting extra calories in, okay? It's going to be the top-ups. I like to call these your carbohydrate top-ups, because let's be honest, we all enjoy food, we want to eat good food. There's only so many grams of potatoes you're going to eat in the one serving, there's only so much pasta you're going to eat in the one serving. This is when these guys come into play, okay? So let's just say let's just say my calories are up 4,500 calories, 5,000 calories, alright, or wherever you're at. It's all appetite, what's the word I'm looking for? Appetite dependent, okay? If you've got a really high appetite, you can get away with keeping things a little bit cleaner, which I recommend because you'll feel better, you'll perform better. But if you just generally struggle to get food in, bosh, here's your top-ups. What are your top-ups? Easy, digestible / calorie dense, sugary options. Doesn't even need to be sugary, but options that you can basically just eat within a couple of bites and you get a large amount of carbs from it. So my top-ups are things like Pop-Tarts, alright, Squares bars, any sort of flavour you damn want. I'll also pick up some rice cakes, alright, I like the caramel ones, you can get whatever ones you fucking want. And then also, we've got our fruit. I'm a very big fan of grapes at the moment. I'm fucking loving grapes at the moment, they're so good. So juicy, mate. Every time I eat a grape, I'm like, this shit is so fucking good. That's my favourite fruit at the moment. Don't really fuck with apples that much. Banana, Banana's good, I just don't really buy them, so it's always grapes for me. So now what you're going to start to do, okay, is let's just say you're having, I'm going to stick to potatoes now because it's easy as shit. So you're having your potato meal, alright, your carbs are getting increased, you're like, fuck me man, I can't be arsed having more potatoes. You can do what I did in my dinner meal, you can add in a wrap, but let's just say you don't want to do that, your appetite sucks ass, because if you can't eat, you can't grow. What you're going to do, you're going to have your potatoes, your chicken, your veg, and you're going to add on a Pop-Tart to the side of it. Now one Pop-Tart is going to give you 35 grams of carbs. If you wanted 35 grams of carbs from potato, I think you would need around, don't quote me on this, around 120 gram, 150 gram, maybe more than that, I don't know, which is a lot more volume. So this is when these things come in. So sometimes I've had like a pasta dish, I've had like pasta and beef mince, but my calories are higher, I need more carbs per meal, so I'll have my pasta with my mince, and I'll maybe add on like 5 or 6 rice cakes. Simple as that, because there is only so much of that carb source you can eat. But this is when your top-ups come up, or even just having 2 carb sources together. So if you're having like chicken and rice, or beef and rice or whatever, and you're like, fuck me man, I'm getting a bit sick of this, this is a lot, this is getting a bit more like, I don't want to add on more rice, then what you can do is, where are they? Grab some wraps and put your chicken and rice in your wraps, so now you're having another clean carb source, but you're now eating more food. Does that make sense, man? Literally, anytime I'm breaking in a diet to somebody, I literally say, pick a protein source, carb source, bit of fruit and veg, if you can, some dietary fat, milk that for as long as you can. As soon as appetite hits a bit of a brick wall, here come your top-ups, your rice cakes, your fruit, your Pop-Tarts, maybe some muffins, maybe you want a cookie pre-workout. These are fine. See if 80% of your diet is wholesome, clean, good, nutritious food that is okay for a bit of this. It is fucking fine. If you're if you're not young, whatever age really, if you're an active individual, you go to the gym, you weight train multiple days a week, you do some sort of cardio, you get some sort of step count, your diet's pretty good, sugar is not the killer. I repeat, sugar is not the killer. It's all about when you utilise the sugar, which we'll talk about in the next wee bit. So hopefully that makes sense. Carb source, protein source, top-ups, fucking easy. And if you're still struggling, I'm not gonna lie, you need to stop being a bitch and you need to eat the damn food, alright? The amount of times I've heard people say, I'm not hungry. Listen, you need to eat big to grow. So unfortunately, if you're not gaining weight, if you're not gaining muscle, and you're complaining about the food you're on, you're gonna have to simply just eat more. So these are the things I like to do to get more calories in, alright? Part number 3, coming up. If you're still here, is that microphone on? Yes it is. If you're still here, thank you very much. This has been a pretty informative video, if I do say so myself. Food, I know food chat and like food and nutrition and bulking and all that stuff, a lot of people can overcomplicate it, but since I've generally set my diet up in this way, it's so fucking easy, man. And another thing I'd recommend is just kind of stick to the same foods every day. Like so every single day I'll have the same breakfast / pre-workout meal, the same post-workout, the same meal 3 and meal 4, and like snacks in between and like meal 5. If I'm changing and chopping that every single day, it's going to be hard to keep on top of. So just try and keep all your meals the same. If you want to have maybe 2 dinner options, sweet. If you want to have 2 post-workout options, sweet. But try and keep the bulk of it the same, alright? So the next part, alright, and this isn't going to be the end all or be all, but I'm very much big on taking the marginal gains, okay? So let's talk about pre and post-workout and some kind of macro breakdowns, okay? So in terms of like pre-workout and post-workout, right, what we need to look at is like, when are you training? Okay, so for me, I personally train in the morning. Okay, I train with 1 meal in me, and that just so happens to be breakfast. I do keep my pre-workout meal some sort of breakfast food, because I enjoy breakfast food, so like egg and bacon and shit like that. I know some hardcore people, or just proper bodybuilders, mate, will have like cream of rice every day of the week, or oats every day of the week or whatever, or just have some mad shit. But for me, what we need to consider with the pre and post workout is that is when we are going to probably require the biggest amount of calories, because that is when we're going to utilize the calories the most, alright? So I would ensure pre-workout meal, here's a couple of things with pre-workout, making sure that you pick a carbohydrate source that one digests pretty damn well, okay? That's a non-negotiable. You'll know this by now. If you're having a meal pre-workout and you're getting to the gym and you've got an upset stomach, your stomach feels weird, you feel bloated, you are not having having a good carbohydrate source, you're having something processed, or it doesn't sit well with you, or you're just eating the meal way too fucking quick and not giving it time to digest, or you're going to the gym way too soon after eating. Always leave that meal around 60 to 90 minutes before training, okay? But for me, I'll always try and keep my carbs, and again, it's all relative to the calories that you're on. If you're on, let's just say you're on 500 grams of carbohydrates, I would have a decent chunk of that pre and post workout. And it's also when you're the hungriest. So I always say to people, even if your appetite kind of sucks, so if your appetite's pretty shit, there's still going to be a point in the day where you are your hungriest. For me personally, it is usually in the morning, which is pre-workout, and post-workout. That's when I'm my hungriest, so it makes sense for me to get the biggest bulk of my calories in around that time, okay? So another thing with pre-workout is like your fat content. I see a lot of full days of eating, and especially a lot of American full days of eating, where some guys just have no regard for like their fat and carb goal. Like their fats might end up on like 150 grams of fat a day. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no need for that. That fat content is way too high. One thing that should kind of stick with you, okay, is the higher the fat in your meal, the slower that meal will digest. Okay, say that in your head again. The higher the fat content in your meal, i.e. if you're having a pre-workout meal with 40 grams of fat, the carbohydrates that you've had with that meal will take quite a while to digest, okay? So be mindful of pre-workout meal. Don't be mental with your fat content. I personally have mine around 20 grams of fat. Any more than that, 25, 30, my meal takes too long to digest. So pre-workout, so as I said, pre-workout, the meal doesn't exactly matter as per se, as long as it digests well, you're not overdoing your fats and you feel good from it. That's going to be the main thing, okay? Now, post-workout, bit different, okay? Now, we're in a position whereby when it's post-workout time, we have depleted the body of a large amount of glycogen, not all of it, but we are in weight training, pushing heavy numbers, training hard, so a lot of the glycogen that we've got stored in the muscle, stored in the cells, stored within the bloodstream, depletes and leaves the body. So post-workout, we need to get a large intake of carbohydrates back in to not only refeed the body, to not only get more glucose in the body, so we are then refilling the glycogen storages, but also because post-workout, the body's in a position whereby it can absorb nutrients a lot better. So the more nutrients you get in your body, the bigger chance you have of growing. So when you train post-workout, your body's ability to uptake nutrients within the blood and within the muscles is very high. So it makes sense to get a very large amount of carbohydrates and food post-workout. Now, for me, I very much like having cereal post-workout. This is the one time where I'll have something pretty damn fucking sugary, and the whole meal is it. So my meal post-workout at the moment is 250 grams of cereal of choice, and I'll also have like some pancakes with some jam on it. I hit around 250 grams of carbs post-workout, even more than that, 275, and it digests pretty well for me. So if there was any time to have more sugary stuff, it would probably be around pre and post workout, because your body's going to utilise it a lot more. But post workout meal, let's just make sure we're getting a very large amount of carbohydrates. We don't overdo it with fats. Again, I can probably get away with around 15 grams of fat, but if you're having 25, 30, 40 grams of fat post workout, the carbohydrates that you uptake and you inhale and you consume aren't going to be utilised and absorbed too quickly, and we want them to be absorbed quickly. So have something a bit more quick and easily digestible post-workout. So a cereal for me is always a good option. Does that make sense? And then the other meals around that, so always try and keep your fat content a little bit lower around pre and post-workout. Not low, but lower. And then your other meals throughout the day, do what you want with them, because it's not around that training window. So pre and post workout, a decent amount of carbs, make sure they're very digestible, make sure you feel good off them, and let's make sure the meals around that, again, just carbs, protein, fat, do what you want with them. As long as you're overall hitting that daily calorie and carb and protein and fat intake, then you're all good. But let's prioritise carbohydrates around when we train. Alright guys, that makes sense. So I know I've waffled there, but that is literally some of my key tips to setting up your diet within a bulk, and these are things that I live by. And this is a setup that I've been running with bulking and gaining tissue and gaining muscle for the past 2 years. This is how I set up all of my fucking meals. This is how I eat pre, this is how I eat post workout, this is how I do everything. So I hope that video helped, man. A pretty long one, apologies for that, but fuck it, value in it. So if you took some value from that, if you enjoyed today's video, then leave it a like. drop me a sub. I'm going to leave it here, guys, because I'm going to eat some food right now. I'm hungry. So whenever you're watching this, day, morning, night, have a good one, and we'll catch up in the next video. Peace out, motherfuckers.